What are sayings you grew up hearing, only to find out they were unique to your family? My dad is a neurologist. Anytime I complained that I was bored he would ask me, "Are board certified?" Took years for me to finally get it. Get your poop in a group. Yeah, no, instead of get your shit together. Younger me, I'd died on I'd want to walk downstairs at night. It was too dark. Oh. Dad, there are no monsters. We cannot afford monsters. Oh. As a kid, whenever I would say I don't know what to wear, my grandma would say put a raisin in your belly button and go as a cookie. My mom would always say it's behind the milk when we would look for something and couldn't find it. Inevitably whatever we were looking for one day was simply behind the milk in the fridge and we couldn't find it. My mom exclaimed this from across the house in frustration, and it became the exclamation for anything someone is trying to find. Meaning look harder, actually move other objects instead of just blankly staring. Edit. Thanks for the silver. I used to run a pub. I had to refuse to serve a rather inebriated young man. Rather than say, I think you're the best thing since sliced bread, he actually said, you think you're a slice of bread. Since then, in our family, anytime one of us does something rather clever, we are accused of thinking we are a slice of bread. My stepfather would point at his head and say, a kidney's man. Kinoiso when he got credit for stuff, answering a trivia question for example. I use it with my students all the time. My nan used to say Hushi, the cat's mother, whenever you told a story with too many pronouns, and she lost track of characters. When my grandma would say I got a bone in my leg, when she asked us kids to fetch stuff for her, it was her reason for not doing it herself. I felt so bad for her when I was super small. I really thought she'd hurt her leg or something. Like, would you bring me an iced tea? I got a bone in my leg. This whole thread is giving me nostalgia for people I don't even know. I have yet to hear anyone else say it, and I stole it from my dad, but if something was broken he would say it's bucking fusted. Miss you, Dad. Dad would always say, hotter than a garlic fart. Never heard anyone else say that. My dad would tell us to cough it up, it could be a gold watch if you were coughing. I never understand it. Me, what are you doing? Dad, obviously just watching TV. I'm digging a hole. What time dark was something we would say to ask like the general question of when was like dinner and downtime. Turns out my parents were ass-face drunk on vacation in a different part of the world before me and my sister were born when my mom turned to my dad and proclaimed what time dark. Because she wanted to see the sunset but couldn't get the thoughts together. So from 1 to 16 I thought it was a common saying, and from 16 to 24, when my mom passed, every time she said something stupid we would just go WH at TMEDRK. My mom would always say, don't think about penguins. When we got hurt, and we would obviously and immediately start thinking about penguins, and why we shouldn't be thinking about them, and we would stop crying. The term to discanka, meaning to disagree. Tried using it once in a class and got some serious sideways looks. Teacher had to break it to me that it is not a valid word. Red shoes, no knickers. My mum said this, that there's an implication women wearing red shoes weren't wearing any unders. Still haven't met anyone who has ever heard of it. I got gored so. My family's way of saying you had a wedgie because it looked like there was a goat in your crack eating your pants. Quite embarrassing when I found out that was not a common phrase. If we were having a hard time doing a puzzle or something, mom would tell us you gotta hold your teeth rigged. Whenever she bought us presents they came from Jet in Playa. Whenever we were to fend for ourselves for dinner, my mom called it Jeturoni Jetuyoroni. Let's went. My parents lived in Holland for a few years before we were born, and I guess the translation of let's go in Dutch is let's went in English. They thought it was funny, so they just kept using it, and we used it too. I'm not 100% sure if the translation is right, but it just meant that every time we left the house, it was okay, let's went. My dad sang opera, so when he came to pick me up from grade school, he'd always sing my name for everyone to hear. Builds character, I guess. When something new turned up, and we'd ask my dad where it came from, his reply was always stole it from a blind man down on the corner. Born up a tree is my family version of Bon Appetit. Edit. 3k upvotes and an award. This is my best post by far. Thank you all. 3. Growing up with a Nation mom that was working on perfecting her English, she would often say Ariwa, that is the suko instead of, you know, Arathitsukso. Did not take long for us to catch on and correct her, but it was so funny we just kinda stuck to it, so when something is shitty now I'll instinctively say in my head Arul, that is the suko. When my great grandpa would be asked if he was ready, he would say, well, I ain't Freddy, I'm Freddy's brother, Kilowit. No one understood, but when I'm the ancient person in the family, I'm gonna start saying it too, to bewilder my younger family members. My nan and mum would always say you're nosy for a cabbage when I would try to ask about stuff that wasn't my business. Not sure if it's unique to us, but I've never heard anyone else say it. I'm sure this is actually super common, but it comes from my great grandma. She only spoke Hungarian, and what little English she did know were translations of her favorite Hungarian swears. She would often call people, especially my father, bitch bastard in both languages. It stuck, and most of my family on that side refer to each other as bitch bastards, which does cover most bases. When pulling out of the driveway for a trip, Arind we're off like a herd of turtles. One I still don't understand is, what are you doing? Posing for animal crackers? I mean, I understood the meaning, but the reference was beyond me. Basically when I was standing around during work and not doing anything. Dad had a lot of weird ones. My dad doesn't know it's weird, so he always uses the word orasuko raru. The suck is going on here. All suck to would always make me and my friends laugh. He also uses the word bunghole. That guy's a real boongolo. He has a ton of other phrases I cannot think of right now. She's got an ass like a harvest frog. From my Irish granddad. I still don't know what it means, though I do know it wasn't a compliment. When posing for pictures, my family will say Dudley's dead, instead of things like cheese. Backstory: around 60 years ago, there was a family dog named Dudley. A couple months after Dudley died, the family decided to take a group picture. The person who was taking the picture was not aware Dudley had died. So they asked, hey, where's Dudley? My uncle, who is always the sarcastic funny one, said in his sarcastic funny tone, Dudley's dead. This made everyone in the family die laughing. It was considered the best picture the family had ever taken. I'm 37, so this happened decades before my birth, and yet still to this day, we say Dudley's dead when we go to take a picture. My dad always used "it's broke" with a capital F as his way of saying it's completely fucked, but without swearing in front of us as kids. Mom, you'd never notice on a galloping horse. No one really looks closely at you. My dad always said life is like a bowl of cherries, but you just gotta watch out for the shit underneath. And to this day I have no fucking clue what it means. I asked him, and he said one day, yeah, I'll get it. Well, dad, I'm 36 and have no clue. Edit, no response yet. I'll update as soon as we talk. Edit 2, well shit. It took a long time to get a response because my father has been in the hospital all weekend due to diverticulitis. It leaked and he had to have emergency surgery yesterday morning. I am in disbelief right now. They said he will be fine, but will be a long recovery. And my JW stepmom was the one who did in fact read the text and confirmed that the cherry is a vagina and the shit is a shit. I was more surprised that she confirmed it. Just like Dorwanto. My immigrant dad has picked up a lot of American idioms, but some of them Hell has made up. He uses this whenever he thinks he done something really well, like a perfect parking job. He also uses actual phrases excessively, like he'll also say call it a done or after a perfect parking job. Really, he's just super proud of his parking skills. Edit. It appears he did not make this phrase up. Guess I gotta give dad more credit. 1. Whenever I'd get in trouble, my mom always used to say, girl, you must think fat meat ain't greasy. Imasho you. Never understood what it meant, and to this day, I barely understand. Looked it up recently though, and apparently it's a phrase that is pretty much exclusively used by African Americans. 2. Almost forgot about this one, but when I'd ask my mom what was for dinner, one of her favorite responses used to be, air pie and wind pudding. Never heard anyone else in my life say this lmayo. Anytime I would ask my mom where she was going, she'd shout, crazy. Want to go with me? Also, if you asked her to make you a sandwich, she'd always say a poof. Yow a sandwich, My dad also used the word doomberdo a lot, like his own personal synonym for dumbus.